What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the Beyond Canary Zone for another daily news video on this early Thursday morning for me. Um, we have a packed show, all about players. You probably, not all of them, but most of them never heard of, maybe, or not watched, maybe heard about, me included. But they all have one thing in common. They all have in common that the club is apparently pushing to move in a different direction with players that also tell you they are pushing towards a different formation, style of play, whatever you want to call it. So we have Ferguson talks. We have a new talent we are looking at from Copenhagen. We have Kolpani. We have a new one from River Plate, and we have some breaking news from Di Marzio about a player we are very close to potentially sign for the first team. Keep that in mind. A guy who's a kid, who's 17 years old for the first team. I never heard about, but let's get into it. As always, like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit that bell notification, and let's go. Okay, the first player is Adzic. And I was recording the video when Di Marzio kind of spoke about this, so I needed to redo it. I need to start over. And this is the main news. This is the main topic. We were linked with him a couple of weeks ago. I don't know. I'm not sure if that was Di Marzio as well. But we were linked with him. And again, I never heard of it one time. So I obviously have not watched him anything. I just looked up a few things here and there, and even not too much because it happened while I was recording, so I needed to restart. He's 17 years old. He is an attacking midfielder. Not a lot of goals, not a lot of games this season. I can tell you that basically. The news is that we made an offer. And Di Marzio saying Juve is making early moves for Adzic, having already submitted an initial offer between 2.5 and 3 million euros for the 17-year-old. He's being closely monitored for potential inclusion into the first team. That part kind of took me off guard completely, because I have no info on the player, not that much. I know he's an attacking midfielder, 17. Played 30. Wait, I wrote it down. 37 games in the first team. No, 41 games, including Champions League qualifiers in total over the last 2 years and a half. Got 6 goals, 4 assists, so not a lot basically to go off to. He's 17, but the part is first team, and I was shocked. I was absolutely shocked because we need attacking midfielders, obviously. Now, this is a very cheap one. However, 17, I don't see that happening. I like Yildiz, players who are in and about the first team, have been at the club a year, longer than a year, are not getting the minutes. Yes, in different positions. I will be absolutely stunned if we sign this kid out of blue and he comes into the first team. These are the signings we're all looking for. The club needs to make. Only I think this is very extreme. It's too much of the dream scenario where we are saying, oh, we need youngsters, we need this, we need that, blah blah blah, all those things. This feels like it's going over the top. Who is this kid? 17, straight into the first team. Sounds very, very extreme at this moment in time. Also because I think we need a player, like it's all good and well, but we need some experienced players, or not experienced, but players who are still relatively young, like a Samacis, but I've already proven it in Serie A or whatever, and it doesn't need to be Samacic. I just used him as an example, but this is very extreme, first team. However, it's good news because lately, ever since Juntili came in, and especially the last couple of months, the links are with a certain group of players, young, potential, maybe unknown, or known, but still potentially cheap enough, and then you have the expensive ones like Surokov. Everybody wants him. Like, he's not gonna go for 30 million. Like, he's gonna go for 50, 60 million. That's what they're gonna demand. And then you also hear things about Boniface. That's also not gonna happen. However, it could have happened if you took him from Union last season in the Belgium league. That was possible before he went to Leverkusen. Those are the deals we're trying to make, and the club is looking forward to make. Now, this is one example. Let's see what will happen. I don't think the first team part is really true, but we made an offer. We can say that according to Di Marzio. So let's move on to the big news. I think this is the biggest news, to be honest. It's Lewis Ferguson from Bologna. He's 24. He's 24. He's an attacking midfielder again. A player we kind of are looking for. He's having a very good season at Bologna, even last season, to be honest, as well. I think last season he had 6 goals or 8 goals, something like that. He has 3 goals a season, 3 assists, but the impact on the pitch is telling. I think he's a good player. I think he's good quality, technically. That's what I mean. He's quality on a technical level on the ball. Obviously, you need to be that to be an attacking midfielder. I think he's very composed. I've seen a lot of people say, a British player at Juve, is that going to work out? You don't see that happening often. We have Junior at the club. Ramsey came in. That didn't really work out, obviously. It's not a common thing. We're looking at Jadon Sancho, but it's not a thing that happens very often. But he's having a very good season at Bologna. Now, Nico Schira is saying, Juve are still interested in Lewis Ferguson. Positive first talks with his agent took place. Bologna would prefer to sell him at the end of the season and not during the January transfer window. Tuttosport had also an article about it, basically saying the same thing, only adding that Giuntoli is really pushing to, make Bologna potentially sell him in January. I don't think Bologna are going to do that. They know they can sell him in the summer. They are on track at this moment in time to get into Europe. I don't see that happening. However, this is an interesting profile. He's not going to cost you 30 million. I don't think Bologna have the facilities to demand that for Ferguson. So it will be around the 28 million, I think, with bonuses. I think that's the fair price. He is proven in Serie A. Some might say the sample size is not that big. Fair, I get that. But it's an interesting profile to keep an eye on, because we were linked with Thuram, not an attacking midfielder. I get it, but the price range is big time. It's 30 million almost in price range. And we need to also be realistic going into the summer in January. We don't have the capabilities or the ability to sign these type of players, the 50, 60 million euros. We're not in those positions. We need to be smart, and it needs to be very on point, the signings. That's why in January, it's a lot of low moves, or it's a young player. The club is like, okay, we can work with that. Whoever is going to be the coach, whatever is going to be the situation, he can be here long term. Not maybe like a Phillips. That's why it's loan, Jadon, loan, all these things. But the things the club are feeling like, okay, this is a certainty. No matter what happens throughout the season, a new coach, not a new coach, whatever, that guy can fit into the team, has a place in the club's future. So the Ferguson one is very interesting because we were linked with him also in January. So I think that's somebody we need to keep an eye on for sure. Now let's move on to another player from River Plate. I think you pronounce it Echeverri. This is from Mirko Di Natale, but we have seen this news pop up from different outlets as well, saying Juve is among the top European clubs closely monitoring Claudio Echeverri. His release clause is set at 25 million, but River Plate intends to renew his contract with an increased clause of 40 million euros. I've not seen a bit of him, not one single clip. I'm not gonna lie. He's an attacking midfielder. Didn't really play for River Plate much, so far from what I can find, to be honest, or I'm completely reading the stats. But I'm not gonna lie, I've not seen him play. So he's also 17. My thing is, when did we sign this kind of player, potential out of South America? That absolutely does not happen. It doesn't. We got Betancourt because we found an agreement with Boca to give them Tevez. We paid Betancourt, but we found an agreement to let Tevez go, and then we find some agreement. We get Betancourt, and I forgot the other name of the player who was highly rated. I have no idea where he ended up. That's the only time it happens. Gabriel Jesus, um Gabriel was Barbosa, Gabigol, like name it. We do not do these type of deals, because it's a big investment. It's more of a deal that Real Madrid will do. Um, Maybe a Man City. Like those are the clubs trying to make those deals happen, because it's a lot of money for a player. You scout it, but there's not a big sample size, and I think the club is very hesitant on making those moves. Real Madrid have no issues. They spend 90 million for a kid who's 15 years old and played 0 minutes for, I don't know, Flamengo or Fluminense, name it. They will pay that money, and somehow, some way, they will hit on it. Even if out of the 10 players they buy like that, 3 don't make it, well, the other 7 will compensate for that. I'm pushing it. This doesn't feel like a deal like the club will do. It doesn't feel like a deal the club is gonna make, come to reality. Also, because like if many European clubs are in for him, if I was him, I would choose a different option. I would choose a more stable club at this moment in time. Like we're stable in, you can say we're stable at this moment in time because what we had happened last couple of seasons. But however, we're not in a strong position. We're not in the position we should be still. So that for all those things, I don't think it's a deal the club is gonna make. I just don't see it happening. I'm being completely honest. So let's see how that will go. But he's being mentioned, so we need to talk about him. Excuse me. Um, Most definitely, like we need to do that. So that's that. Now let's move on to another name, another youngster, 18 years old, just turned 18, so that's fine. He's a right winger, basically. He is Rooney, and I'm gonna butcher the name, Barchi. I don't know. If somebody knows, let me know in the comments. Saying the Juve scouts will be present at the Bayern Munich Copenhagen game. Juntuli Amanaev, the 18-year-old left-footed Swedish playmaker from Copenhagen, on the radar. When this news broke, the first thing I saw on social media, what about Sule? Yes, very good question. What about Sule? However, if we switch formation, you need options. And Wea is not an option because he's fit and also because he can play across the board. So it feels like he is just one of those players, squad players, or like a player that will give you many options, a coach, different options. So, yes, even if Sule comes back, you still need backup, and I'm not saying you're going to use a 19-year-old and an 18-year-old kid to go into the season. That doesn't really sound like us, especially if it's Allegri into next season. However, it's an interesting profile. I think people know a little bit more of him. I've watched a few, Champions League. I don't watch the Copenhagen. I'm being completely honest. I don't watch Copenhagen. So I can not really say much on him. Like he is technically very good. From what I've seen, and it's a little sample size from what I've seen. He's technically very good. He's not at this moment in time. Should I say he's not prolific? I think he is prolific. But I think the eye-catching thing with him is more his technique from what I've seen, and maybe it's because I've not seen enough of him. That's why I cannot speak about the goals, whatever. He's 1 on 3 for the first team in goals, so that's good for an 18-year-old. He's just a playmaker, he's a player a la Sule in terms of it's, what you're gonna get with these players. The question is, and we're gonna go off the premises that Allegri is gonna be the coach still. Is that what Allegri wants? Again, the common thing is we're linked with a lot of the same profiles. Now this can all be show, media talk, whatever, but when it's so much every day and it's the same thing or the same profiles or the same idea, something must be up. The worrying thing is in January, if we sign 28-year-olds and you're like, these players are finished, why are we doing that? Then we have an issue, obviously. But at this moment in time, these are the links. The cheaper ones, quote unquote, the player with high potential. However, like I said, they need to all kind of bang, because we don't have room for errors. We need to um, improve, and it's tough to improve with a lot of youngsters. So we need to be honest with that as well. Now let's go on to the usual stuff. Kopani, Mirko Di Natale, we play him against Monza. We play against Monza tomorrow. So we're keeping an eye on him. He's highly regarded by the club, but Inter are also still in for him. He's a player I like. He's not a player that excites me, if that makes sense. But he could be a very good squad player, and I don't want to dismiss it. I don't want to jinx it. I just like, is he the guy that's gonna move the needle for us? And that goes for the youngsters as well, you know. And I'm talking into the next year. I still think we need something, if possible, with a certain, how do you want to say that, proven, or like a player like, okay, he's done it for a couple of more seasons. You're gonna get that, you know. With Kopani, it's 1 year and a half. I'm still hesitant. I do like him, and we'll probably have issues with him tomorrow. That's for sure. That you can probably take to the bank. But he is an option. He was an option in the summer. He will be an option, not in January. I think he will be an option in the summer again, you know. So keep an eye on him, especially tomorrow, because, well, you see him up close, and you will see what he's made of and what he could potentially bring to the team in the summer, potentially. And then to wrap it up, this was the funny news. Saying Betancourt's injury puts a hold on Højbjerg's position at Tottenham, at least in January. In the January transfer market, Juve still has an interest in him for the summer. Giovanni Albanese. We thought Betancourt wasn't good enough, and we were trying to get his backup. That's all you need to know. I actually don't want to bring that up again with Højbjerg. Sorry for Betancourt. Good news for us. And in January, in the summer, absolutely no chance. If you do that, then I'm lost for words. I'm not gonna lie. You know, he's a player that will not improve us. Probably not will make us worse, but it will absolutely not improve us. So I don't really get that. We need players that are gonna improve us for sure now and in the summer as well. That's it. Today I do have a stat show on Monza. Check that out. That's a new type of show. A little preview, but more orientated on stats. And then tomorrow morning also the preview, and then post game as usual on this channel. So yeah. Thanks everybody for watching. Like the video. Let me know what you think about the news. Subscribe to the channel, and I will see you guys back later tonight. Ciao.